This is a fundamentals day where we're talking about, hey Nick, I'm gonna let y'all just go through it with me, okay? Nobody's done it yet, you know what I mean? All right, and so what we're gonna do is we're gonna see, we're gonna let you talk about this stuff. We're gonna say, after a vehicle is repaired, vehicle being repaired after an airbag deployment, not employment. Employment's good though, isn't it, Nick? Employment is real good. Technician A says the inflator module should be handled like it's still live. Technician B says rubber gloves should be worn to prevent skin irritation. What about that?
I think A is correct, right? The technician A.
A is correct. Why should it be handled if it's still live after it's deployed? Because some of them have got 2 firecrackers in them, and if it wasn't a really bad accident, only one of the firecrackers will light off.
Yeah.
And the other one is like a bomb that could go off.
I remember that.
And so if you've got an airbag, if you're in an airbag situation, and hand me that steering wheel up there, Michael.
Because one go off at like a certain.
Yeah, it's like a second generation airbag is what it amounts to. This steering wheel has got an airbag in it, right here, see? All right, now, this steering wheel, you might notice you can't even take it apart, right? You can't even take the cover off. It ain't got no covers on the sides you can take off or nothing, but you have to be able to take that steering wheel off. What do you think about that? So what you do, right up in there, is a little screw that you turn, and it turns the nut that extracts the steering wheel. Is that pretty cool? That's pretty cool, ain't it?
How you
Anyway,
work on
long
an
as,
airbag? If
huh?
it's faulty.
Huh?
How you work on a faulty airbag now?
Well, basically, you're supposed to handle it like it's still live. That means you don't hold it like it's up to your face. You know what I'm saying? Or you don't hold it like this, so that if it lights off, it takes your head off. See what I mean? You need to kind of keep yourself clear of it, and you need to handle it with rubber gloves, and handle it like you're handling a bomb. You know what I'm saying? Now, the right way to handle it, to do an airbag check, and we're talking about electrical this time too, is you're gonna take your airbag, and there's a 2 ohm resistor usually, that you unplug the airbag, and you plug in a 2 ohm resistor so that the system thinks there's an airbag there. That way, even if it tries to light it off, it can't light off the resistor. You know what I'm saying? The resistor ain't gonna do nothing. But the airbag, but don't ever take an airbag and measure, the ohm meter, and measure the airbag deployment circuit either. It probably won't blow, but if it did, you gotta think about what's at stake, okay? If you put an airbag on the bench, you need to put it up, not down. Because if something happens and it does light off, it's gonna ricochet all over the place. It may go anywhere. It may come at you, it may go hit Nick, it may go after her. You know what I'm saying? You don't wanna go there. And so, here you go. There's a steering wheel with an airbag in it. Be careful, don't point it at yourself. All right.
Don't point it back at you.
Okay, so that particular one's gonna be C, that's A and B. A seatbelt pretensioner. You see this right here? This is a seatbelt pretensioner. See this yellow part? When you see a yellow connector, you got airbag components right here. All right, so this seatbelt pretensioner, and basically a couple of things it does. It kind of pulls the steer, and see the little thing that lights off? This right here came from a, yeah.
Got some issues with it. She said that these are more than the state allows. And also she said that she doesn't get the same figure you did there. And then also you gotta write your purpose. I'll leave it in your office.
Okay, that's right, that's fine. Now, every time I fill one of those out, there's always something wrong with it.
I figured so.
You know? But anyway, the long and the short of it is you got this little thing right here, and it basically is gonna lock the the seat belt, and it's gonna pull it tight when you crash. That's a pretensioner. That's not quite as dangerous as handling an airbag, because this is not gonna blow your head clean off, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, that one I had to replace on the Crown Victoria because that little squib lost its continuity in it through throwing the code. And so basically, that was the deal, and you can see the little airbag connector there. I saved that for show and tell, but anyway, a seatbelt pretensioner is A, used to force the occupant back into position against the seat back in the event of a collision. Used to remove slack from the seat belt in the event of a collision. A device that contains an explosive charge. All of the above, that's a D. Go ahead and circle your D. And then 3, what conducts power and ground to the driver's side airbag? A, clock spring. B, twisted pair of wires. C, magnetic reed switch. D, carbon contact and brass surface plate on steering column. That's going to be A. It's going to be the clock spring. And this right here is a messed up clock spring right here. See the clock spring? See that little printed circuit? See the printed circuit? That printed circuit, and that's why whenever you've had the steering wheel off and you've been able to where you can turn it all back and forth and everything, and you need to have the steering wheel locked in the middle if you're pulling the steering parts out. Because if you don't, if it's one way or the other, like if this is already wound up as tight as it can go, as soon as you try to turn the steering wheel where it tightens it up a little more, it does this. That's what happened to this one. Somebody didn't center it. So if you're putting the airbag, if you're putting the clock spring back on there after you've had it off, you got to turn it all the way, you know, to where it's on to the tight side, and it'll have an arrow. And then you go back 2 3/4 turns and put it in the middle. That way it can go both ways an equal amount. But that's a clock spring. You need to remember that. Because you will be pulling steering wheels and all kinds of stuff. You get me? So always make sure when the steering wheel is locked in the middle, if you're going to take steering rack off, because you don't want to tear the clock spring up. You got me? Mm-hmm. And so, but anyway, that's a piece of a clock spring, what's left of one that's got messed up by somebody. And clock springs can cost anywhere. There's another one right there. There's one that's what it looks like when it's all together. That one came off a Dodge truck, and it had an open circuit up in here. It wasn't tore up like that other one, but it was throwing an airbag code. And when we measured it, it was an open circuit between the here and there. And so we replaced that and took care of his airbag code. So, but anyway, those are airbag things. But it's always going to be a clock spring because they don't want to have a carbon brush riding on a brass ring because it just doesn't work that well. When will side or curtain airbags be deployed? It's like our Sonata has curtain and side airbags in it out there, the one we got. Okay, so
That's the you hit the side.
in the event of a hard impact to the side of the vehicle. Usually whenever somebody gets hit in the side of the vehicle, their head hits the B-pillar, you know, and it usually takes them out because when your head hits something, you know, real hard. And now my Explorer has basically got airbags that pop up out of the seat. And when you're putting seat covers in a vehicle like I did mine, you got to get some that are made to accommodate these airbags that pop out of the seat. You got me? And mine's got a zipper there, a plastic zipper that can just rip open and let the airbag pop out of the seat if somebody T-bones me. That way, instead of my head hitting the B-pillar, it hits this soft airbag, goes boom, like that. That's how that does. All right, so they're going to be in a side impact. That's what they're for. What color are the airbag electrical connectors and conduit? Yellow. Everybody knows that. That's good. How many sensors must be triggered at the same time to cause an airbag employment? That's typically, that's kind of an old question. The airbag, see this thing right here? This is the airbag module, like what you see on these cars. See the airbag module? That's what they handle. And see this sensor has got an arrow pointing on it? Now listen. That lights off the airbag. Now, how many of you know it's really a bad idea if you got airbag, you know, to be bumping on stuff like this? You know what I'm saying? That's not a good plan, is it? Because this thing here, because this right here, the wires plug in, that's the thing. And so you need to make sure that you always disconnect the battery before you're going to be working on something where the airbag might light off in your face. You hear me? All right, you're going to have to reset the codes too. When I was working at the Ford place over there, we owned the Nissan dealership, the Ford place, the same people that owned us. They said, the body shop came to me and it says, every time we send a crashed Nissan Quest over there, it's got an airbag on because of it's been a crash event, and we want the code clear. They charge us 2 hours labor to clear the code. You know, it's obviously all they were doing. And they said, can you figure out how to clear the code on this thing? So we ain't got to go pay them 2 hours labor. This is our own dealership. You know what I'm saying? One dealership charging the other one. And so I went over there, I looked it up, it's all a Nissan Quest and a Ford, what the heck was that thing? It was a Ford van, it was just like a Nissan Quest, and I feel silly. No, it was a Mercury, whatever that Mercury was. It was like a Nissan. And so I went and looked it up and I found out that what you had to do on that particular year model one that they've been having trouble with, to reset it is you open the door and you hit the door jamb switch 7 times. And that clears the code.
That's crazy.
They've been charging them 2 hours. There you go. There you go. Airbag module. Make sure it don't light off. Okay. All right. So let's see. Basically, number 6 is supposed to be a C. All right. Where are the shorting bars used? The shorting bars. This is a shorting bar. If you look in this connector right here, whenever that connector is disconnected from it, there is a little shorting bar that pops up and touches both of those little terminals. So that there can't be any static electricity or anything that causes that thing to light off when it's not supposed to. You're gonna see that on airbags. On the airbag, you could probably see it on that airbag right there. And on this thing right here, it's the same deal. That's a shorting bar. It's in an airbag connector because they do not want any stray voltage getting in there. When I'm gonna light off an airbag in the parking lot, like we do sometimes, we run a speaker wire out there to it and, you know, let everybody watch, and we run our video camera and we boom, sound like a bomb going off, and sometimes it jumped 10, 12 feet in the air, fill the whole car parking lot up with smoke. But anyway, we have to take the shorting bar out and hook a wire to each one of those, and we touch it each side of a battery. You got that? And it lights off, and it's scary as all get out if you're standing close by. I've got a video on YouTube where we lit the one off in a Lexus, the passenger side airbag in a Lexus. You can see it on my YouTube channel, and it's only a short video. But we said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom! It popped up, it broke the windshield, it went all the way back to the seat, and it filled the whole place up with smoke. You want to be sitting behind that darn thing? You ought to see it. I mean, there's a video on there. You can look it up. Airbag lights off in dash. You know, that's the name of the video, I think. Okay, let's see. The heater uses what to heat the air inside the vehicle on most vehicles?
Heating coil, man.
What? What?
And a heating coil.
Seriously?
Hot coolant.
Hot coolant. You knew that. Don't play dumb with me. All right. It's going to be hot coolant. You know, that's why the heater core. When the thermostat is closed, when you first start the car, typically where is the coolant going? Straight to the heater core and back. Because the cylinder head gets hot faster than anything else. And so basically it's wanting to take advantage of that heat just as quick as possible. All right, so where in the air conditioning system is the refrigerant a low pressure gas? Where in the air conditioner system is the refrigerant a low? Y'all just got through with an air conditioner job. You should be able to remember that, right? You guys put a compressor on that Fusion. You also did the Expedition, put a pressure on the Expedition. Then you had to fix the Expedition, or Adam had to fix the Expedition because y'all bailed and, you know, lost interest and wandered off and sat down and all that stuff. So, yeah. Don't be lazy, because laziness is a contagion. And I tell you something else, profanity is a disease. Huh? What?
Kayla had not fixed that.
Oh, y'all did? Y'all took care of it, did you?
We did.
Is it cold now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, y'all are so cold. All right, so, but you're still gotta tell me, where in the air conditioning system is a refrigerant a low pressure gas?
This is the outlet.
I think it's C.
Yeah. Condenser, right?
All right, evap. That's the evaporator. What's going on in the evaporator? The refrigerant is evaporating. So what goes on in the condenser? The refrigerant is condensing, right? Okay, so you got a big accumulator right here, and then this goes to the compressor, and then it goes from the compressor to here, right? And then it comes through here, and it goes through this little orifice tube, and then it goes back to the evaporator. Unless you got an expansion valve, and then the suction and the pressure lines are running next to it. If it's got an expansion valve on it, the accumulator will not be there, and you'll have a dryer in that line right there. And the expansion valve, like I say, on those, the expansion valve and this line, they go together, and they both go through the expansion valve more or less, and then it goes to the compressor like that. You know, this is the big line and all that. But anyway, that's when we get into when we're doing air conditioning and all. Okay, so basically number 8 is gonna be an A, excuse me. Number 9 is gonna be a D. That's at the evaporator outlet, actually, where it's leaving the evaporator. However, now if your air conditioner is fully charged, remember this, if your air conditioner is fully charged, your suction line will be cold all the way to the compressor. If you're working, let's say you're working on a piece of equipment. Let's say you're using the refrigerant cans to charge up your buddy's tractor or something like that, and you don't know what the specs are on that darn thing, right? So you just let that refrigerant, the pressure in the can is gonna actually draw the refrigerant into the system. It's gonna go in there like that, and it'll take a while. When you're going, you know, on our big machine out here, when we put charge, we're done in about 30 seconds. That ain't the way it is when you're using a can. The deadgum can's slow as dirt. What I used to do is get a little short, you know, when I was having to juice mine up a little bit, and I knew it I needed about a pound of refrigerant or whatever to do it for whatever reason, I'd actually put the can and the little short hose under the hood and open it up so it could go in there and just close the hood and drive the vehicle. And it gets colder and colder and colder, and whoopee, we're good to go after that. However, you don't put refrigerant in on top of air because air won't condense and you'll got an air compressor, right? So you gotta get the air out. So don't charge one up if you don't know it's going atmospheric. Don't even try that. You got me? All right. So what are those three pictures on the wall right there? AC compressors, right? Okay. Where in the air conditioning system is the refrigerant a high pressure liquid? That is at the condenser inlet. Now it's a low pressure liquid going into the evaporator inlet. So that as it evaporates, it absorbs heat. When you get out of the shower, you're cold, right? When you get out of the pool, you're cold because that water is evaporating off your skin and it's taking heat away, right? Now let me ask you this. Have you ever had a liquid that you put on your hand and made it feel warm?
No.
What? What liquid? There's two that I know of right off the top of my head. Huh?
Liquid nitrogen, it makes it feel so cold it's hot.
No, I don't think I'd put liquid nitrogen on my hand. Stick out your tongue.
It just like rolls off.
Yeah.
And
Well, the
like
point,
air,
do that?
huh?
Doesn't like carburetor cleaner do that? Or something?
No, it's cold too. But what will make your hand, I guess if you set fire to the carburetor cleaner on your hand, but I'm talking about brake fluid. You ever spill brake fluid on your hand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you do it, your hand feels warm. You ever poured pure antifreeze on your hand? Makes it feel warm because it's got a real high boiling point. You got it? You know these little cans of computer duster spray? You know, it's basically got what's a refrigerant in there. You know how cold it gets?
Maybe turn it to then.
Yeah, turn it upside
If you
down.
turn it upside down, this is what you do. Now, this is really, don't try this at home. But if you turn it upside down and you spray it into a styrofoam coffee cup, you can actually get that styrofoam coffee cup about half full of that stuff. And it looks like water. Don't leave it sitting there because somebody may pick it up and try to drink it. You got me? Don't ever do that. Don't ever put a bottle of anything like brake fluid or any kind of poisonous liquid out there in the shop in a mellow yellow bottle. Because somebody's liable to grab it and turn it up. You know what I'm saying? Don't put any bleach in a water bottle and set it on somebody's sink. They're liable to turn up a can, you know, got to go to their stomach pump and all that kind of stuff. So don't ever do that. If you're going to put gasoline or something like that in a bottle, try not to make it in a bottle that looks like Joe's Mountain Dew or whatever, because he's liable to pick it up and drink it. Don't go there. That's a bad thing. But anyway, this thing right here, when you've got this styrofoam cup about half full of this liquid, and it'll have little bubbles in it, it looks kind of effervescent. You pour it just anywhere you want to pour it, on the floor or anywhere like this. It looks like you poured water on a hot skillet. And all I'm saying, computer duster stuff, it's not illegal to vent that to the atmosphere, obviously, like it is refrigerant. I mean, so we don't do that with refrigerant because it's illegal and it's a bad idea anyway. Okay, so I'm not, you know, don't try this at home, you know, but you know what I'm saying. All right, because like I say, if somebody picks it up and drinks it, he's going to, you know, get frostbite and have to get their tongue cut out and all that kind of stuff. The material used to absorb moisture inside an AC system is called what? Ding, 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 ding. Ester, dryer, PAG, or desiccant. One of those. Have you guys ever seen in a bottle of some kind of pill that's got a little pillow looking thing that says do not eat? And if you looked on there, what does it say? It's got a word. Desiccant. Yeah, in the dryer, you got desiccant.
Oh, I knew that too, but.
This right
I'm
here,
still gonna hold it.
this right here is a cutaway accumulator. And in that bag is desiccant. Supposed to absorb the moisture, right? You look funny with them headphones on like that. All right, now then. Okay, so, now let me see. A customer complains that the heater works sometimes, but sometimes only cold air comes out while driving. Technician A says the AC system may not have enough refrigerant in it. Technician B says the cooling system could be low on coolant. Who's correct about that? The heater works sometimes, but sometimes only cold air comes out while driving. If it's low on coolant, it'll do that. If it's got a bad water pump, so that a water pump can't pump the water. See that water pump? This girl came in here on this Taurus, and she said, my heater don't work. All right, now what did we do about that? What we did was we took a clear hose, and we hooked clear hose into the line between the engine and the heater core. And we cranked it up. We wanted to see if there was coolant going into the heater core. There was not. Now her car wasn't running hot, but you see how rusted out that impeller is on that water pump? And how much space there is between them impellers and the reaction surface? If you got a lot of space between the impeller and the reaction surface, it's not going to move the water like it should, and it certainly ain't going to pump it into the heater core. This was a bad water pump. It was causing her. She was full of coolant. Well, it's a real rusty system too, though. But anyway, that's what one of them looks like. This right here is real sharp, and it will cut you. So be really careful. That's how it just rusted off so bad that it's turned into something really sharp. Anyway. All right, so watch out for that. Now let me see. First step in diagnostic procedure when attempting to solve an HVAC customer problem is what?
What was the answer for 12?
Oh, the answer for 12 was B. Sorry, B only. Refrigerant in the system is not going to make it be, make the heater not work. You know what I mean? All right, you got that? All right, so what's the first step in your diagnostic procedure?
Check for DTC. Check DTC.
What do you do? Whenever you got a problem of any kind on your car, what's the first thing you do?
Just scan to them, look at the trouble.
No.
Visual inspection.
Visual inspection. You open the dadgum hood and you look at
Oh,
it.
yeah, well, I mean.
Even a lady standing beside the road with her high heels on is going to open the hood and look at it usually, see what she sees. One day I was driving home from work,
Oh, I didn't look at that.
and it was cold out there, like 30 degrees. It's cold that day. I was driving home from work, and I saw these two women standing beside the road with this Cadillac with these low-profile tires on it, and it was just sitting beside the road, and it's flat as a flounder. And so I just pulled over to, and the guy that lived across the road was walking back to his house. I said, well, I wonder why he didn't help him with it. So anyway, I stopped and I said, y'all got trouble here? I said, yeah, we got a flat tire, and, the spares in the trunk, and we don't really know what to do. And they were talking with a British accent. They were from overseas somewhere. And I says, okay, well, let me see what I can do there. So I got their jack, and no, I got my jack because I got one of them regular little jacks, sort of like a miniature version of what we use in the shop. Made sure everything was locked down good and jacked it up and went to work changing the tire and all that. And so I got the tire about half changed. This wrecker pulled up. And so he gets out, and he's kind of wearing a, jacket and a boggin on his head, and he walks over there, and I heard him say, I was on the other side of town when you called. I wish I'd have got here quicker. And so anyway, I got through changing the tire and got it all torqued and everything, put the tire back in the trunk and all that. And I was walking back to my vehicle, and they said, do we need to send any papers or anything? I said, no, I'm just on my way home from work. They had called their AAA, the wrecker came, but I got there first because I got out of my vehicle with a uniform on. They thought I was the guy from AAA.
Oh.
I didn't have a clue I was shafting that wrecker driver out of his,
He probably wasn't mad.
Well, I had no clue. But anyway, well, see, he was talking to me. He was saying, well, this is a donut, and I doesn't really need to go on the front. I said, look, it's the same diameter as the original tire. I mean, they made it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be all right until they can get this other one straightened out. I mean, basically, they thought we were, two guys that worked for the same outfit talking to one another. Is what it amounted to, or something like this kind of funny situation. And she was sort of scratching her head when I said, no, I was just on the way home from work. I got my truck off, But anyway, let's see. Technician A says spark knock, ping, and detonation are different names for abnormal combustion. Technician B says any abnormal combustion raises the temperature and pressure inside the combustion chamber and can cause severe engine damage. You heard of labor knock, ping, some people call it valve rattle, like when you're going up a hill, That's something that you, that won't usually cause a problem if it does it a little bit, and a little bit of that may be okay sometimes, but I don't really like it. But I'm not going to bust my fanny looking for it, unless it's consistent and bad. And you got to make sure that they don't have some kind of rotten gas or whatever, something like that. So 14 is basically going to be C. That's both of them. If it's bad enough, it can damage the engine, pretty sure. Propane is also called what?
LPG.
Liquid petroleum gas, LPG. A vehicle owner should, A, purchase gasoline that has the same octane rating recommended for use as stated in the owner's manual. B, use plus grade for all gasoline engines. C, use premium grade for all engines for best performance. D, either B or C.
Obviously.
That's gonna be A, and I'll tell you something else. If you use premium gas in one that's not set up for premium gas burns slower, and it will actually leave some of the gas unburned on the inside of the cylinder head and top of the piston. And as it cakes up in there, it can actually get to the point of where it's taking up enough room in that combustion chamber to where it raises the compression level, and it starts pinging, and so that every time you turn around, you've got to put the premium gas in it so it won't ping, and you're making problems for yourself if you put premium gas in one that's not set up to run on premium gas. Now, the president of the college, believe it or not, he's got a PhD in math, but he's also enjoys working on his car. And so he's got this Lincoln. And so on his Lincoln, he got a programmer, and he set it up to shift gears like a police car. He set it up to run on premium gas by programming in there, with a little flasher that he's got. And he had me put all these hot rod coils in it, He's a really peculiar guy. Not only that, is that he knows Aikido, and he can whoop your fanny if you mess with him, you know what I'm saying? But the long and the short of it is, he says, get in my car, let me take you up the road. And so we got like a race car. Anyway, you wouldn't ever think he would be that way, but he's cool as all get out. He changes the spark plugs in his own Porsche and all this kind of stuff. And if you ever change the spark plugs in a Porsche, like the one he got, it is not for the faint-hearted. Ain't nothing easy about it, you know what I'm saying? It's not like a, four-cylinder where they're sticking right up here at the top. They got to get to go in. I mean, it's nasty.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You get to do that too. Okay. All right then. So let me see. E85 can what? A, harm the engine if used in a non-flex fuel gasoline engine. B, cause a conventional gasoline engine not to start if used. C, be used in a vehicle labeled flex fuel. Or D, all of the above.
D.
Now, the reason for that is, and when I'm asking about that, that's D. If you got a flex fuel vehicle, do we have any flex fuel vehicles in our college fleet?
I got my vehicle's a flex fuel.
Yeah.
My Ford Focus is.
We have 2 vehicles in our college fleet that are flex fuel vehicles. Did you know it?
Which are,
The van, that van that we got,
that Dodge?
and the Dodge Stratus are both flex fuel. They don't say it on there, but they're flex fuel. How do you know they're flex fuel? How can you identify it?
Some vehicles have it written on the back, like my Ford Focus, and other ones would have it in the book.
Well, you gotta look at the 8th digit on the serial number. That's how you tell.
The 8th digit?
The 8th
Oh, yeah, I
digit.
remember seeing that.
As a matter of fact, look at this next question. A flex fuel vehicle can be identified by A, the VIN number, B, emblems on the side, front, and or rear, C, VECI, which is Vehicle Emissions Control Information Decal, or any of the above. That is any of the above. What color is diesel fuel dyed if it is for off-road use only?
Red.
It's red. And when I was working on Power Stroke diesels, if I took that top of that fuel filter off and I said red diesel fuel in there, I'd put it back on and I'd park it outside and I'd say, you run 3 tanks of regular fuel through there. I mean, regular diesel fuel, the yellow stuff, before I'll even work on this thing, because it makes gel in the injectors. It's high sulfur, cause all kinds of problems. I don't know what the rules are now, but you're not supposed to do that, not taxed. And it's also a slightly dirtier fuel. One should avoid topping off their fuel tank because why?
It's our purging one.
The charcoal canister may get saturated. And if the charcoal canister gets saturated, whenever you're sitting there at your traffic signal, waiting, and it suddenly decides, I think I'm gonna purge the canister, which it'll do that on these newer cars sitting here idling. And if it starts purging the canister and you've saturated the canister by packing the gas, it'll try to die, and then the idle air control or idle speed control, whatever, will catch it, and it'll try to surge ahead and crash into the car in front of you and scare the living daylights out of you. If somebody brings you one and they're complaining about it doing that, if you pull up your scan tool and you watch that canister purge until it decides to start doing it, and in a minute it will, just look at your live data. If it starts purging, and the moment it starts purging, the engine almost dies, you can say, are you packing your gas tank? I've asked them that before. They say, oh yeah, I try to get all I can in there. Stop doing that. You'll be all right. You'll be just fine. And all that. So anyway, that's what the answer to that one is. That is A. All right, is everybody happy?